If you clicked on this video, you're probably somewhat frustrated with the outputs that your favorite AI tools like ChatGPT are giving you. So I'm going to show you exactly how you can introduce the proper frameworks to start prompting like an absolute pro. Let's be honest, right now you're probably prompting like you're sending a drunk text to a friend after a late night out. And it's random, it's vague, and it's somewhat useless to these different platforms. I want you to imagine that it's almost as if you're talking to a coworker or another employee. You have to give very specific, clear directions in order to get the most out of your desired output. Right now, you're probably sending something like, can you do the thing that helps me with my job so I can get a promotion? Maybe you're just typing like, help me write better emails, make an automation for my calendar, etc., right? As you can see, these specific prompts, they're very casual, they're very laid back, but they also lack a lot of context. The more context that you can give while still being concise is going to allow you to get the most out of these different AI platforms. So I want to show you one of my favorite frameworks. It's called the RIDE framework. So it's super simple. We start with the role. You have to set a context to the AI. You have to give it a job description, basically, right? So you can say, act as a DTC copywriter, act as a SaaS product manager, act as a Gen Z brand voice expert. You can just let your imagination run wild with this, but it's really important that the role that you set is specifically tied into whatever outcome that you want to achieve, right? You can't just be like, you're a McDonald's employee, but you're asking for some sort of like crazy code output. Let's be reasonable here. Second is going to be the input. So this is where you either like feed it raw data, some sort of like website, you give a product description, maybe previous copy that you've done for the specific product or whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. Maybe you're giving it a specific audience that you're trying to appeal to. It's really important to just provide a little bit of these different inputs so that it understands what the task actually is. Next, we have direction. You have to tell it specifically what to do. You have to have a set output or a set end goal to be able to get the most out of this. So you can do something along the lines of write 3 email subject lines, summarize in bullet points, translate it into a TikTok script, you name it. It just depends on the context. And then finally, you have to set an expectation. This can be the actual format that you want, whatever it is that you're outputted to, the tone, the length. An example of this could be, hey, I want something related to motivational tone. It has to be 300 words in a markdown format, or it can just be like a normal Word document format, just plain text, whatever, right? So as you can see here, I laid out an example for us, and I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste this into ChatGPT so you can see the output. But before we do that, I want to outline how this actually fits into the RIDE framework, right? So act as a UGC creator who makes wellness-focused TikToks. That's the role, right? The product is Focus Fuel, a nootropic hydration powder that boosts focus without caffeine crashes. That's the input. I want a 30-second script that feels like a first-person story. Start with a bold hook, highlight 2 benefits, and end with the CTA to try it. That's the direction. And then the expectation is keep the tone casual and relatable, right? So very straightforward. You can see clearly how in order it sets that RIDE framework. So we're just going to go ahead and copy and paste this into ChatGPT and see what type of output we get. So as you can see here, we have a hook. I don't drink coffee anymore. And no, I'm not crazy. I used to need 2 cups to just function, but by 2 p.m. brain fog, cranky, zero focus. Then I found this nootropic hydration powder called Focus Fuel, and it's been a game changer. It keeps me super focused without the caffeine crash, and I stay hydrated and mentally sharp, even with those long chaotic days. If you're over the coffee roller coaster, seriously, try Focus Fuel. Your brain will thank you. That is a really solid script. And again, it all has to do with the actual framework. If you were to just ask it, hey, can you make me a script for Focus Fuel? It's probably going to be a much weaker output. It's not going to be as concise. And the end goal, you're just not going to be as satisfied with the platform's output. So great example there. The next framework that we're going to learn about is the TAP framework. So TAP stands for Task, Audience, and Purpose. So when it comes to setting a task, what do you actually want the AI to do? It's important to be precise. Write 3 Instagram captions, create an email subject line, draft a product description, you name it. Audience, who is this for? This helps shape tone, references, and voice. An example of this could be Gen Z skincare buyers, B2B SaaS founders, moms in their 30s. It just depends on what it is that you're trying to achieve. Purpose, why are you creating this? What's the business goal? Drive clicks, educate new leads, build product hype. It's really straightforward, right? Once you understand this framework, all you have to do is literally just input these different things in this specific sequence to be able to get the most out of the platform. So an example here would be write 3 Instagram captions for a new plant-based protein shake brand launching next week. So that's the task. The audience is active millennials who care about their gut health and clean ingredients. That's the audience. The purpose is to generate hype and early signups for the waitlist. Use a casual, fun tone. So as you can see, super clearly outlined. In the prompt itself, I'm actually even stating the audience, the purpose, right? Just being able to be more specific without going on crazy tangents is going to allow you to be a lot more concise. So let's go ahead and see what type of output we get from this. Let's go copy and paste it. Awesome. Something clean is coming. No bloat, no BS, just the plant powder. Your gut will thank you for. Link in bio. Even has some hashtags there. Your protein shake is about to glow up. This is not your Gym Bros chalky protein shake, plant-based, gut-friendly. I mean, those are really, really solid outputs. And again, it all has to do with the fact that you're guiding it properly and you're setting the proper parameters for the AI to do its job. One of the ways that I love describing this is essentially if you go bowling, if you just are bowling on a normal lane, you have the gutters, right? So essentially when you're poorly prompting the AI, you're still playing bowling with those gutters. But all of a sudden, whenever you set these proper frameworks, these are essentially guardrails. Like when you're bowling, you can lift those little railie things so that your ball doesn't go in the gutter every time, right? This is essentially the same exact thing. It's just highlighted through prompting. Finally, we have the C.O.D.E framework. So C stands for context. What platform, what tool, what system are we working with? Keep in mind, this C.O.D.E framework, because of the acronym, is probably a little bit better for development, coding, stuff of that nature, and that's just based off of how we're operating with it. But an example of this could be, this is for a make.com scenario, this is for a Python 3 using pandas, this is for a Shopify webhook, etc. The objective, what are you trying to accomplish? Automate lead intake, scrape product data, format a report, the details. What constraints, tech specs, or nuances matter? You get the point, right? And finally, the example always helps to show what success looks like. This is probably the most important part of this specific framework. And keep in mind, we're using a coding example right now, but you can also adapt this framework to any other industry, whether that's copywriting or any other creative task that you're trying to achieve, right? So here's a sample webhook payload. Here's a CSV file with the structure I want. The real highlight of providing examples is it gives the AI sort of like a framework to study and then readapt to your specific use case. Really important. So an example here would be, this is for make.com. I want to build an automation where when someone submits a type form, it adds their input to an Airtable base and sends a Slack alert to my team. So you're literally highlighting the actual sequence, the output, like the entire start to finish that you want to achieve. Instead of just saying, I want an automation for my type form. Very different. The Airtable is named lead, and I want to include their name, email, and budget in the Slack message. Only run if the budget is over 1K. Here's an example, type form submission. And that's when you would actually input the submission. I'm gonna go ahead and input this. I don't have a specific type form submission to input, but I still wanna give you an example of what the potential output could be, even without an example. So you have automation goal. It's so nicely laid out. it's setting essentially like what the if scenario is. If the budget is over 1K, add their info to Airtable, the modules that you have to use, the step by step. It's just so clearly outlined that once you have this specifically, you basically have a cheat sheet in order to achieve what it is that you want to achieve. So at this point, I'm pretty sure that you understand what it takes to actually prompt like a pro. Make sure to adapt these frameworks specifically to your use case. And again, everyone's use case is vastly different, but the more disciplined you become about this, and maybe even in a future video, I'll teach you how to create a custom GPT with these templated frameworks so that the actual AI walks you through the process of essentially writing these different frameworks. So like the ride, for example, you could start with a very sloppy prompt and be like, oh, I want to write an email. Okay. And then it's going to ask you follow-up questions to actually get you to the point where you have a well-structured prompt. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this talk. I'll catch you in the next one.